Hi guys, a lot of you guys know that I sell tournament trays and other bits of laser cut designs. This is a build guide for my new tournament tray, which is an evolution of my original designs. It is held together with magnets, the levels. You still need PVA to glue it together, but it's held together with magnets, so there's not the clasps and such like. And there's also some improvements to reduce the wear and tear on it over you taking it to and from tournaments, hopefully. So what you see here is a pack as you would receive it, with what it is, my logo on, and then all the MDF. The MDF, it's quite a big chunk of MDF. So we will go through it and put it together. It's got two storage areas for tokens, widgets, dice, whatever you want. There's a widget tray storage on there for this one for mob football, using my widgets. You don't have to buy it with that section. You can buy it separate, just with the tournament tray parts, and there will be a number of options on the widget trays to support other with sets of widgets if you so desire. But for now, let's get into the build. So for the build, you need a bit of PVA and a bit of patience. It's not a particularly difficult build. I think it's actually more straightforward than the old one because I've learned a lot in the building. So there's a couple of layers to this and lots of bits. So we will go through them as we need them. That's one of the top pieces. This one doesn't have a logo on. Normally there'll be a wolf head there, or your personal logo if you want it. This one doesn't at the moment because the customer who this one is hasn't decided what he wants on there. So that will go back in the laser cutter and be engraved at a later date, and it will eventually get a logo on. You then get all the internals, walls, etc. You also get the magnets. So they're the magnets that hold it all together for the long term. But for the time being, they can put over there. We'll deal with those at the moment. Then there's lots of side pieces and internals. I'm just going to move them all out of the way, and we'll go through what we actually need at each stage. This is really very much what I would suggest you do with the MDF before you actually use it is you give it a wash. With the laser cutter, you get a bit of residue from the cut. Basically, it's the glue that's used to compress all the MDF, so you get a bit of residue. So I would normally give it a bit of a wash. I've already done that on this one, but I do have. I'll show you what I mean on a piece in a moment, because just so you know, it's just a bit of water, damp cloth. Give it a wipe down, let it dry off before you actually start using it. So I'm just getting all the sides and such like. So all I'm doing at the moment is I'm putting everything together with the same set lamps and same sort of design, so I can find them all in a moment. So let me have a look here. Another side piece, internal slot, and another bit there. That's a widget bit, so that can go there. Right. So you notice I was saying about the residue. If you look at the difference between these, you'll see there's quite a dark line where the cut is. Basically, that's because when it's cut, there's a airflow that goes across it to stop it setting out or stop small particles causing problems. But it does mean the residue gets spread up. So if you notice on that one, there's nothing there really. On this one, there's a darker line. So all you need to do, cloth, bit of damp water, just to damp it, and give it a quick rub down, and that will get rid of the worst of it. So as you can see there, that's a bit there. It just gets rid of the worst of it. When you feel in the wood, you'll feel there's maybe a bit of stickiness, that tackiness. That's basically the residue. So yeah, just give it a wash. Doesn't need to be not a lot of water because it is MDF. So if you put too much water in it, it will warp. So be somewhat careful over what you do. but it is there and it is so I would suggest you do it. I've done it on all these pieces bar that one, just so to speed this. You don't need to see me washing all the wood. So that's all these size pieces. Then we get onto the bits which actually make up the tops and bottoms of the trays. So you got the widget tray, which has a second piece which will just go underneath and it'll sort of fits together like so. So like so, and then those two pieces will go together, and then it'll give you a ability to pop the pieces out. It's quite straightforward. I'll explain what those are for in a moment. There's two of them. You got the top tray for where the models will sit, and it gives you a bit of space for pens, whatever. That's where the logo would be. This is 250s, 440s and 630s. There's going to be a couple of options on these, so you guys will be able to choose the one that's best for you. And I will also sell these individually, so if you want to get a couple of them, you can do. Move all these bits out of the way. So you will be supplied with all these. So the 50s will have 40s and 30 rings in, the 40s have 30s in. So you can, if you only want to buy one but you want to have a bit of customization, that will give you the options. Another lot of internal sliders, which I'm just going to put over there for the time being because they don't get glued, they give you the customization. And then you've got two bases. What I will say is both these bases have holes for the magnets in. I will only glue in one set because basically what you have is one's on the bottom, one's on the top. The reason I've put the holes in is so you can choose which way around you want them. And if you want, you can buy some magnets, and they're basically 4mm by 3mm depth magnets, and you could just add to that so you could swap them around in whichever way. But for now, we'll start off with the build. These are the first two pieces we're going to be dealing with. So I'm going to, it doesn't really matter which way around we do this. We'll start off with that one because that's the one on the bottom. So first thing to do is dry fit everything. So first thing we need to do is have a look here. So this one only has one piece that goes all the way across. So obviously that's that one. And that just slots in like so. I'm just going to dry fit everything to start with. And then you've got three identical pieces because all these pieces go together the same way. So that way around, slot it in there. So you can see they both slot fine. Then you just need the top and bottoms. This is very much me going, make sure everything dry fits properly before. Even though I've done this design, I still will test the dry fit myself because you can never be 100% certain that what you've put together works. I'm reasonably sure it will do, 9 times, but it's just worth double checking. So you'll notice these holes at the bottom and most of the way across the top part are double thickness. The reason for that is because this is customizable and you can change the partitions as you want. There's the second piece that goes in, and that just gives you, and you wouldn't want that sort of design on the outside because it would make weak and it would snap and it would cause problems. So basically second piece just to slot it in, and then on the top you have one of the slightly smaller pieces. Also, to make it easier when you're fitting them in, these pieces you've got a long end and a short end on before where the thing starts. The short end goes on the right hand side of the tray every time. It just means they all these line up properly. So I'm just going to double check this. That goes that side because that's that piece there. Before I do that, actually, I need a piece in the middle. So as I was saying, these are all customizable. So as I just dry fit everything like so, and then that piece gives you the outside. So that is the basic structure, and surprisingly enough, everything fits. So that is basically the top box. That's one of the boxes. Not glued together or anything, which is the next stage. So as you can see, everything fits properly. So we will now actually start gluing it. So we'll take these pieces out. so we can glue. I normally start off with the surround, so all the pieces on the outside, and then do the internals. So we'll start off with the outsides and then do the internals. Start off with the two side pieces because they're the first pieces to go in. For me, I just use a big tub of Wilco PVA. I do have a small one that I can refill in top up, but for this I'm going to use a brush just because I want to keep it as neat as possible. So it's down to you. I'm sure you've all built MDF stuff before, so I'm not going to tell you how to glue stuff. You guys can work that out yourself. So I've just basically got a small tub of PVA to one side, which I'm just going to use to dab the glue along. Obviously with PVA it needs air to dry, so you don't actually want to totally cover it, because if you do it will take longer to dry, it won't be as solid. So what I tend to do is dot it along the dot it along, so underneath, and then where these pieces go in on both sides. I said I was going to do the side pieces first, didn't I? Not the end piece. Oh well, I did the end. I did this piece. Oh well, that's fine. So that goes in like so, and then we got one of these pieces, which I'll also do. I'll actually get this side piece in first, because otherwise it may have problems. Because I'm a numpty, I'm supposed to have done this first. Doesn't really matter because it all takes about the PVA isn't going to dry spectacularly quickly, shall we say. So in there, slide that in there, and then I'll do the same on the other side just to get it in. So yeah, basically this is quite a straightforward design. It's not particularly complicated. Everything fits in relatively sensibly, so you guys shouldn't have a problem actually building it yourself, I hope. If you do, you got my email, you can contact me. If you bought it, you know how to get hold of me. If you haven't bought it, there'll be a link in below to tell you where to get it from, because if you're looking at this, I'm assuming you're interested. I got my laser cutter because I wanted one for my personal use. It so happens that I want a laser. My family and me went, we've got uses for laser cutters. It'll pay for itself in its own right over a few years. I don't really, so because the amount of money I was giving to third-party companies to actually cut stuff for me, it was getting a bit silly. So I went, right, I'll buy one. And then I decided, oh, if I've got one, I might as well sell a few bits. I'm not going to be I'm not a big laser. I'm not going to be a big company laser. I don't have any plans to be the next big laser company out there. I don't have the patience for it. I am very much a hobbyist who hobby helps pay for itself, which is quite nice. Oh, that's a bit too much on there. So all I'm doing on this internal one is making sure I cover most of the prongs as well. Otherwise, the prongs, it gives the prongs a bit of strength as well. Make sure there's a bit of PVA on all of them. So when it goes down, like so, it will all bind together. Like so, in there. Bit of good PVA spraying out over the top, which is fine. We'll deal with that in a moment. We'll deal with the other outside piece. So yeah, for me, this was a hobby which is now helping to pay for itself. I'm not looking to make a living of it, but it pays for my hobby. It means my partner doesn't have a go at me when I go and spend money on new toys, because most of that money now comes from my Etsy store. So for you guys, it's you guys who help pay for me to allow me to go and play the next game I want to play, or the next thing I want to have a look at. So that goes in like that, and then we've just got a small piece. Before we put that piece in, let's put that piece in the centre, because otherwise we will start having some issues. So yeah, basically I build the surround, I build the internals. And obviously the glue won't set straight away, so anything, whichever order you put stuff in, you can pull it out and you can re-put it in. For me, I'm doing it in the way I feel is the most sensible. You may disagree with me, but there's always, because I'm one of these people who find online paper instructions the graphics don't always help you see exactly where you want to be. Well, and a video like this, you guys can actually see, oh, you're doing that. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm obviously not doing all the gluing on camera, because you guys don't need to see me, how glue goes, how to put glue on wood. All right, I've shown you a bit at the start, and that should be enough. So that goes in there. So, and then we have one of this piece, short ends that end. So that's the side that needs glue on. So yeah, all I'm doing again is making sure plenty of glue. End of day, if a bit of PVA pops out of the edges, it's not end of the world, because a bit of a damp brush will get rid of a lot of the excess, so you don't have the bobbles. So that's the basic box done. Well, not quite, got two more pieces, but what I'm just going to do before I do anything else is, you can see these white splodges down here. I'm just going to take a wet brush and get rid of them as much as I can. So it's a bit of water, like so, job done. So that's that done. So I'll put the last two pieces in on this level, because that's basically this level. The bits that get glued in, done. Obviously, all the extra pieces for the where you're putting your tokens and such, like, you could glue in if you never plan to move them again, to give it a bit more strength. That's entirely up to you guys. Personally, I won't, but obviously you guys can if you so desire. For me, the point about this tray was so I could mess around with it if I wanted to. I have a number of teams that this is for me, will be for Team Forge's games Guild Ball. I'm not sponsored by them, I'm not anything like that, but for me it's a guild for Guild Ball, so it's been designed for me for Guild Ball, but it could be used. I have one over there for Malifaux, and I play a few of the skirmish games, and there's more coming. So these ones are for this side here. You'll notice one side's thicker than the other. Basically, on this side it's 3mm, on this side it's 1.5mm, so you can, if you do want to line them all up together, it doesn't cause problems, so it just slips in there. And the same with these small ones. The small ones should, as long as you've lined it up properly, all just stick in like that. So it gives you slots for tokens, and you get 30 of these with each box, and 2 of these at the moment. I may add an extra one to those if I can find space in the wood. But for me, that's why I wanted it. So I've got space there for, that's 3 inches wide, so you can put 3-inch AoEs in there if you need it, or you can use it for dice. I use the bottom for widgets and dice, split it up as you need to, or even cards. It's up to you. So that's most of the first top one done. But there is one more thing left to do. So how does this attach to the next tray? There's one of these. This slips over the top like so, hopefully, like so. And then you'll be gluing the magnets into there and there. So as you can see, there's raised bits on each of the long ends, so it actually has something to work against. So all you do with this is a bit of PVA, again, dot it along. It's a pretty solid fit, so you can use clamps just to give it a bit of extra strength while it's drying. I haven't found it's needed, but if you want it to be 100% perfect and no gaps, you might want to. But that again is down to you guys and personal preference on gluing it together. As I say, I'm not putting glue all the way down because with PVA it actually wants some space to. It needs some air gaps, otherwise it will start on this thin stuff it's probably not a problem, but on some of the bigger pieces, if you do anything else, you may find you have issues. So that's it down. So that initially should, that's right, hang on, I didn't do the outside pieces there and there. The other thing I've done is I found with my first tray, it wasn't 100% tough on the side, so I've also done that, there we go. So that all dries down there. And it just wants a bit of weight on that while it's drying. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to move this to one side and put something on top of it to let it all dry properly. Like, well, it's been altered since somewhat, but I just want a bit of extra weight on there. So for the time being, I can just sit over there out the way while I deal with the next one. Okay, so for the second tray, it's pretty much identical build as last one. It's just straight across on all of them rather than having the space for 3-inch AOEs or extra widgets or whatever. So these should just literally fit in like this, like so, and like so. I've already pre-glued these because I was being a bit lazy and wanted to make sure you guys weren't watching me glue stuff, because that's be a bit boring, shall we say. So that goes in like so. Oh, hang on, just noticed some. That's the wrong side. The short edge should be on that end. Oh no, the long end should be on that side. Ignore me. I was right. So again, bit of glue all the way down the side, on each of the pieces, so it can dry, so it can glue in fully. All I'm doing here is just quickly doing each of the pieces down. Which way around does this want to be? It wants to be that way, so that's the side that needs to glue on. Like so, and then the outside piece. So you notice I haven't glued any of the magnets in yet. I tend to leave the magnets to be the last thing because it means got everything built, and I can make sure all the magnets priorities are right, so it fits as I want it to on the. Yeah, there we go. So, like so, and then. 1, 2. I've missed one place. One of these pieces. We'll go and find it in a moment. But obviously, you know where I said make sure all the pieces are there. Yeah, because it's my design. I thought, oh, all the pieces will be there. Obviously, I not picked one of the pieces up off from where it comes together. Obviously, you guys will get all the pieces. Don't worry about that. I will go and find the extra one and give to you. Get it in place. Oh, other way around. Found the missing piece. That's me not double checking stuff as I was going. So we'll get it glued in. Again, it's all very much of muchness. This thing goes together very straightforwardly. It doesn't need a structural engineer or anything to put it together. Obviously, if you want, you can paint it beforehand. Mine, I've actually just taken a spray can to it. So I've just I got it all together, then sprayed it. But obviously, if you want to spray each piece individually before it goes together, you can do. You may just find it be a bit of a tighter fit in places, but it should all still fit reasonably well. So again, same thing. You got that, they go in there, they go in there, like so, and you can fill it. You can split it up as you want. So dice, widgets, whatever you want in each of the sections. That's basically that one. Obviously, again, you need the surround. So we'll just quickly water this up, PVA all this down. So it's all got PVA on it. So it can. So again, it just sits down on top, and while it's all drying, you put a bit of weight on it. Before we put weight on it, let's just get a brush to get rid of the worst of the PVA blobs. Not too bad on this one, but you always end up with a few of them. So on the outside as well. No, that looks all fine. So again, I'm just going to grab the tray that the prototype one of these that I've already done. Sit that on top just to give it a bit more weight while it's drying. Right, last couple of pieces. You've got a couple of pieces here. That actually fits with a magnet. So you'll see there's magnet holes in it in there and there. So that literally will just glue in like that and be like that. So you've got space for pens, and you can have your name or custom artwork in there. Obviously, if it's an IP piece of artwork, tough luck, I won't do it. If it's something which you think is your own or you think is all right to use, send me a message and we'll have a look. There's a couple of different layouts for this side. You'll see that they will be up on the store, and other than that, that's what you get. So you literally just these use the 8 smaller magnets. So when you get them, you get two sides of magnets. You get 4mm, which are the ones to hold all the bits to the main components, and you get the small ones, which will be enough just to put on, to give you enough strength on these. I tend to glue those last, let everything else dry. And then the other piece you have is the widget tray. So for me, this is my widget tray. This is for my widgets. I will do ones for other people's designs if people want me to. That way around. I'm just working that out. So it will just literally the bottom and the top glue together, and then they can just literally, when you do I have one here? Should do. I'll just get one of my 10-inch widget out. It just drops in there, and to get it out, if it's lined up correctly, it just pops out at one end, and hey presto. So all I need to do on this one is put some PVA on this. What I'll do on this one is I'll make sure all these fine pieces have plenty of PVA on, because if you don't, they may not stick, and because they're quite skinny, they may snap over time. As long as you look after it correctly, it won't, but stuff happens. So I just make sure these got enough glue on to make sure they, once they're down, they stay down. And then it's just a matter of making sure all the larger areas have glue on, just to hold it all down and keep it all together. I'll use the bigger brush at this point, because otherwise I'll be here all day. So it's just basically, all I'm doing is make sure there's a decent selection of PVA around here. I have noticed one thing. One of the magnet holes didn't come out, so I'll take that out. You don't need to go right up to the edge, because this is the second piece is smaller than the first. Again, we'll just make sure we get PVA down that central piece, that piece there, so it holds. That should be enough. And we'll just do the same on all these. There we go, and that should be it. So then this piece goes over, slots down, and while it's sorting its position out, I will, it doesn't matter working out which side you're going to use as the guide. I tend to use the handle there to make sure that's smooth there. That's one end, and then you can just line it up with all the other pieces, and there you go. So that's that done, and that will dry in its own time, and then that will slot in between the boards, or at the top, depending how you want to use it. That sits on top like so, and then the other two pieces, which probably are getting pretty well dry enough. So literally, so like so. So when you get the magnets in, obviously magnets, it's making sure you have them polarized the right way around, and that's always the fun bit of this. So for me, I'll do the magnets now, actually, so you can see. And there's, in fact, before I do the magnets, I don't know, we probably can do. Let's do the magnets now, actually, because the last piece will be. So that's the two trays, then these two. So we'll do the small magnets first, and then we'll work our way down and do the big ones. So all I tend to do with the magnets is I get one magnets in my hand. So these are all the small ones for this piece. I tend to just basically blob a bit of PVA over each of the holes, like so, and then magnet in, magnet in, magnet in, magnet in, magnet in, and then just wipe off the excess. And while that's drying, just move it out of the way to one side. Keep these magnets in the same direction, so when you do the same on this one, hole, 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 when you do the magnets on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, just wipe away any excess. They should all be the right way around. So I'll leave that to dry properly, and while that's dry, we'll grab the next two these pieces. So same thing. Right, on these, the other thing I've done, and I haven't decided if they actually will be kept or not, because I haven't decided, because I've slightly altered the way these fit in, and I actually think that is reasonably tight now, so I'm not actually sure we need these. What I had done was done some strips across there, just to go underneath, to give it a bit of extra support, but actually, feeling that, I don't think it needs it. So I'm going to leave those off, so you won't get those, guys. Magnets, again, in the PVA in the holes. For me, this would be the bottom one of the two, so I'm only going to magnetize the top holes on this one. Oh, hang on, that one's good. That's a magnet which is stuck together. Give me, because of the way I glue them together, because of the way I quite regularly just so we'll put it to the top for the time being. Because of the way I deal with the magnets, which is quite often do this, so the PVA occasionally stays on the ones which are still on the stack and not actually going to get used. Oh, that has like so. Like so. So all the magnets are in. That one's just dropping out a bit, so I'm just going to hold it for a second. The rest of them are held in place. This one just decides to be a little bit awkward. There we go. That's that one. So for the other tray, obviously this one will need all 8 magnets put in, not just the 4 of the first one. So again, magnets. Bit of PVA. As I say, this is probably the most annoying part of it. I can't decide if there's I have been tempted to do so the holes aren't solid, so there's actually something underneath them, but at the moment I'm leaving them as they are. They seem to work all right. Because they do catch slightly on the corners anyway. Making sure they go in. Oh, that's lifting up slightly, so I need to put some weight on that again. And again, on the underneath ones, I may actually, I think I need to go from the other side on this, because otherwise the magnets won't fit in. They're the ones that won't be on the top, so a bit of PVA again on the ones which I don't think there's been enough PVA on them. The magnets I use are pretty damn strong, so you shouldn't have any problems with not being able to going around the outside to get rid of any. Like so. And that is basically it. Once it's all dried, well, it will go together and it will be fine. So I'll be back once it all dries. I'll see people in a bit. So once you've got the tray fully together, magnets in, this is what you end up with. This is plain wood, nothing's been done to it, it's just as it comes. You could stain it, you could spray paint it, and you'll see mine where I've spray painted it black and done some colour detail on it, so you can see it in the future. Well, you'll see it at the end of this video, but this is as built, so what it should look like once you finish doing all that gluing and sticking and sorting out. So top tray, 4 magnets, corners, plus magnets for, so 8 magnets on the bottom one, so that can just slide off and you can replace it if you decide you want to. Then next tray down, you've got a big piece which you can change to adjust. You can adjust the sizes on as you so desire. You can change the sizes. You can change the sizes on all these ones as well, so it's entirely up to you how you want to set it up. And then you've got the widget tray. The guy who's bought this one off me has my widget, so he's got one of mine, but I am going to do designs of this to fit the thicker movement templates. We'll see what else I can fit on after, because obviously if I put the thicker ones on, they're going to stretch across, so I'm not going to have as much space for other stuff on this. But that'll be personal people's choices, what they want. We'll discuss it, we'll see what happens. And then on the bottom tray, you have more space for 3 widgets and another long space at the bottom and more token spaces. That's what you end up with. That's what it looks like. Hope people like it. Hopefully some of you guys will buy it. As I say, you'll see a bit about my personal one of these next. We'll go for, and you can see what you can do with it. But for now, go and have a look at the next bit. Okay, so after seeing the completed as you would get it if you just glued it together and started using it, well, I figured I'll show you a completed one, which this is mine. So we'll just go for it. So top of the tray, as we say, space for pens and pencils, whatever else you want on the tray there, with a bit of a lip just to stop them rolling off. Space for your team, which, as I say, every team, there'll be a few different layouts here to allow you to do what you want. And then next layer down, nice and easy, we have my tokens. Well, we have my dice, part of my plot card holder. We have my plot cards. We have my business cards, but you don't need to worry about those. You already know what it'd be. So, cut space for plot cards with sleeves, so you'll be able to fit them in there if you so want. You have, I have this set up with, what is it, 6, 12, 18, 21 slots. You get enough to do more than this if you want. I've done this like this way just because I want slightly larger ones at this end, so it just works out that I've got 21. So this is my this is my conditions, my tokens for plot cards, and my captain token, just because it was a way to put it. My 10 players, well, yeah, my 10 players, for my blacksmiths, which are those, my heal markers for heal, and my activation markers. One thing I have an issue in the game sometimes is I can't remember if somebody's activated or not, because sometimes I don't put influence on people, whatever, so I've just got some activation tokens, and the heal tokens just remind me if I've healed them or not. Then the next tray down, magnet picking up screwdriver bits. is my widgets tray. So 3 epoxy bases, 1 of each size. My scatter one, so you may notice one of my standard scatters not in here at the moment because I've put it somewhere. I've got to find it. And my 3 to 10 inch widgets. So pretty much the sort of standard stuff you'll need most games. And then on the bottom tray, let's pick this up because so on this end, so I put a grip on that just because this does actually slot in because it's 2 layers. It slots in underneath, so it actually fits quite tightly. And again, I'll just put that on the magnet. Something's not gone in properly. I'm guessing the widgets come out. One of the widgets has come out. Yeah, as expected. So on the bottom, I have my big 245 and 246. I also have a couple of widgets, melee gauges, a ball path underneath there. The rest of my pot card holder, my 3-inch AOE's over here. I've still got one of the wooden ones in, the cardboard ones in here because I ain't done a second burn acrylic yet, so I need to do that at some point. My Mortician's players that I'm actually playing, the last 2 blacksmiths that technically aren't in my 10 at the moment, still very influence. I also have some, if my opponent doesn't have tokens for his player, I just have some writable tokens so I can just write on them, make note if they've got a condition on them, so I know what condition they put it on me, because that's something which people sometimes don't always use tokens and it's annoying. So I have some just blank ones I can just use if I need to. And my union tokens are just down in that corner there, just so they're out of the way. But that, and my momentum dial there. So that is basically the tournament tray filled up. 2 teams worth of tokens, with my 13, which is just a bit of a mess, but what will happen is whichever 2 I'm playing most of the time will be set up, and the last one will just be in that storage there. I felted the bottom just to give it a bit of clean storage. That's basically it. So that's what you can do with it. You could wood stain it. You can spray it. This is just standard black spray. Nothing special about this stuff at all. I just used a bit of white paint on the wolf head just to get it to stand out. That's basically it. So that's mine. I hope to see some of your guys' efforts in the future, and bring me over some photos of them.